it feels like I'm being interrogated and there's this, not save me, but like, I don't get this information, I'm not going to be okay.
Hello, how's it going with you?
Good. So I wanted to ask, so with Beth and I, obviously, that's
Yeah.
the majority of a lot of issues sometimes. And we took a break and we didn't have a job. It was overlapping because we still have some other jobs that we're finishing up. Then we got this small ADU, which is super easy and it's not much. It's like a month job. Then we got another job working for the junior league. So the tension that we have is when she asks me questions and she doesn't have this same problem with other people she asks the questions to, though. It just happens with me. And we've talked a little bit about it. We're trying to uncover it and why or how. And I'm sure it has something to do with me because people have said this to me before, that I'm confusing. I'm not articulating properly. They're confused. When I talk, I'll talk over here to someone. So I know it's not just her, but it feels like I'm being interrogated and there's this, not save me, but like, I don't get this information, I'm not going to be okay. Feeling energy coming at me. And anyone else, either she's not doing that energy and they're answering her perfectly and she's learning and it's amazing, but with me, it's tough. We're having a tough time.
No, it's all, like, I really, first of all, let me just acknowledge both of you that you're openly sharing this. So first, like, huge kudos to really being able to call it out and like look at it. But what it feels like is, can you feel that her trauma triggers your trauma? And then you become in a trauma drama, right? Like, it will literally feel like that. Like the trap, it's like she's wanting to come to you and you're her safeness. Like you're her strong, like you're her certainty, like you're the, like if I went to Michael and I say, me wanting him to be grounded in something like that, I'm coming to him, I'm just giving you as an example, where that would be like she's reaching out, that your connection and your love, and there's this certainty in your partnership. So when that feels uncertain, where she can't come to you, it's going to trigger all the uncertainty of her core trauma. Would you agree, Beth, that is going to, if she feels unsafe, it's immediately going to trigger the unsafeness feeling of your core trauma when you were stuck in a crib and like feeling like you can't breathe and all this kind of stuff, like all of this fires, right? Am I getting that?
Yes.
Yeah, right? That's how it'll feel, because that's supposed to be safe over there and it doesn't feel safe, and it's like, then I'm all alone. If this isn't safe, then where is safety kind of feeling is what it feels like. And then for you, Erica, like, go to your core trauma. Now, your core trauma was your sister, you coming home from, if I get this right, I'm doing this off of memory, so you guys are going to correct me, because I don't memorize everybody's, but I know your core trauma is in the sense of like, you came home from the hospital and your sister was like, take that thing back, right? And she was serious. It wasn't like, kill that thing. And so what is it about then when Beth comes to you like, hey, I really need you to do, that you're like, hey, kill that thing over there, kill that thing, don't do that. What is that about that triggers what is it that like you're like, stop that, go away, I have to kill you if you do that? Like, what's the energy feeling that?
The only thing I can think of is that it reminds me, so my mom was, I don't know if she's in the core trauma or whatever she didn't cause, but she protected me from everyone and we became enmeshed.
Okay.
And so she was anxious, an anxious person. And so I felt I probably had that feeling that I didn't want, my feelings were her feelings in a way. And so I was responsible for taking care of her in a way, maybe.
Okay, and so is that what scares you? Do you feel like, don't make me responsible for your feelings? Is that the trigger of when... I feel
unsafe. Yeah, I feel unsafe. She can't take care of herself.
Right, and then
I'm responsible for taking care of both of us. Shit.
Right, and then it's going to be all my fault. Then I'm going to be responsible for you. I can't be responsible for you. Like, fuck, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, that's where it becomes this trauma drama. Like, it'll all get like embodied like that. Is that making sense? Like collapsing, because both of you don't feel safe.
Yeah.
That's all that's firing. Like, it's like, oh, okay. Like when she doesn't feel safe, it triggers it. Now, I say this with so much love because when Michael feels a little off, I instantly feel it, okay? I instantly feel it because you guys are so connected. You can feel when you're a little off, right? It's not like, it's like I instantly feel when he's a little off. But just so you guys see it, then when I'm like questioning something, so I'm going to show you as an example. We're in a live course right now, a live intensive. Like I told him ahead of time, okay, like, you know, I have to go. I have to teach align selling at 4:30. So that means what time do you need to be on? Like what time do I need to be done? I'm going to write a note. And he's like, okay, 3 o'clock. As long as you do it, because usually at 3:15, do it by 3. I'll get it. I'm like, okay. I put a sticker. I'm like, before 3 o'clock, I am off. I did my part. And then he allowed extra people to put their hands up instead of 3, and I had to interview each one, took it out. And I was like, I see how long this is taking. And I just go like this. This is all that I did. I was like, okay, like this is not going to go. He reads my energy instantly. And he's like, I didn't even say anything. We're in the middle of a live thing. And he instantly freaks out a little bit because he can read my energy. And I'm like, stop reading my energy. I didn't say it to him because we're in a live, but I'm like, stop reading my energy. Let me process my own emotions that you're not going to be on time. It took me a few minutes. I had to process my emotions and then I let it go. I just want to say this. Okay. So I had to let go. This is not going to be on time. I'm going to be late.
Yeah.
I had to process it. Why I'm saying that is like each one of you has to re-embody, reclaim, re-find your own power and alignment no matter what's coming up, and process it so that you go back into your own power so that the other person is off the hook. Like, meaning Beth has to find, like, it's not Erica's job to ever save me. This is me wanting her to feel that certainty when it's really wanting is for myself to have my own certainty. Like that really is the gift that when you don't feel certain, the mirror of that is like when I'm being Beth for a second. When I freak out and want to be that anxiousness and want to feel safe and you don't feel safe, oh, that's because I'm really wanting to feel certainty in myself. And I haven't yet developed that in any situation or any circumstance when I still feel uncertain. That's for Beth to process and own, right? Because that's really her. It's a mirror. When it triggers you, your mirror is, that's why it triggers, oh my God, I don't want to be responsible for that person because somehow then I'm bad and wrong. And see, there's my core trauma. Like I'm the bad one. I'm the wrong one because I couldn't fix you. So then it's my fault, right? Which is really when that hits you, when she's not finding her center, that's for you to go, oh, she can be anxious. And my whole job is stay connected of like that. I have to allow her that dignity of a journey to find her own center when really I can let her be anxious and not make it about me. I'm going to still process my emotions like, okay, oh, wow, this isn't about me. I've got this. I can be in my certainty and allow her own finding her own self. Can you see how each one of you has to process your own piece of it, right?
Yeah, it's hard because my body physically takes over.
So does hers.
Yeah.
Like that. Like you guys are 2 peas in a pod. Like, what do you mean your body physically takes over? Her freaking whole body, like the whole thing, it's the mirror. Do you guys see you're the mirror?
Yeah.
Like you mirror.
But why would she pick someone who has no certainty?
Right. Why would we people who
why would she do that?
Why would we pick people who are our core trauma that's going to exaggerate the shit out of our core trauma so we could actually find it in ourselves, right? Because notice this, watch this. We don't ever pick people who have it all completely the opposite of what it is that we find familiar, because we wouldn't be attracted to it. It's like, oh, you're like so certain all the time. What's wrong with you? That's a little creepy, right? We're going to people who are, it feels more familiar. They're going to have patterns that you love and then some patterns or programming that you're kind of like, that's like, I don't like that part because that's not the part we don't like that part in ourselves, right?
But also, isn't it when I can see the mirror and I can get in alignment, then that's my true authentic self. So why wouldn't I be attracted to someone like Erica? Because I found through Eric, there's a lot of, the mirror.
Of course.
And then I'm pushing, that pushes me to be you know, the more authentic me.
Of course. Like when you're both in your power, oh my gosh, right? Isn't that the most attraction? Like, of course, when Michael is owning his, you know, whole self and his whole being, he is the sexiest. But then when he goes out of that, right, and he starts being concerned or whatever like that, he is like that. Stop.
Do you know what my solution is for Beth?
What is your solution?
Don't ask me any questions. That's what I told her. I literally told her not to ask me any questions, just to work with, you know, she could take her own job and work the whole job and work with the superintendent, and then I'll have my job. Like kind of that's how I don't know what.
But what that's doing, and with so much love and compassion, I just want to say, why that will never work is because when you put up boundaries, that's the whole reason we don't teach boundaries, because when you try to put boundaries up, what happens is, just so you guys can feel it energetically, whatever we are resisting, that part of ourselves that is resisting, whatever that is, we guard. And every problem that we guard, we get to keep, meaning we never grow beyond the problem. It's the wrong problem, but we get to keep it. Everywhere we are resisting, we are guarding the wrong problem. But the part of us that is guarding is what's wrong. Like the protective self is never going to be like, well, I'm just going to love this bitch even though she's totally in anxiety right now. Like the protective self is going to be like, screw you, girl, get your shit together and come back to me when you're really on, you know. The protective self doesn't go,
yeah, I know. I'm like, Google, you know, ask someone else.
Yes, it really is more about
research.
I know. It's really more about anywhere we're resisting. It's not about tolerate. Like, so this is where I am really answering you guys so you guys can feel it. The part of you that wants to resist the other is what you have to process, that so that you clear the misunderstanding. Oh, she should be the one that, you know, saves me, or she should be the one that's certain. Wherever it is, because wherever you're feeling unsafe, it isn't actually the person outside of me that is causing me to feel safe. Nothing I'm experiencing is being caused by anything outside of me. So how can I come out of this reactive behavior in the moment that it's firing? She's asking you all these questions. How can I come out and up and look down at the pattern? This is really what you're asking. In the moment it's firing, so that I don't personalize it. I don't give it a meaning of like, she shouldn't be that way. And it's like, and then I would come from curiosity. So I would be like, wow, isn't that interesting? Because when you're not in the problem and you're speaking about the pattern, like now you can really be each other's best friends. Like, right, when I'm out of it and I can say, like, notice, you know, Michael, when you do that pattern, like, notice what's firing there. What is it that you think you're looking to get on that? Or why do you feel like that is, why do you behave like this? But I'm coming from complete love and compassion and curiosity. Just look lovingly. Like, what is that real pattern firing? And only then does he have access, or, you know, the person have access to like, oh, I didn't even notice I was doing that. I was actually just wanting you to save me on that, or just wanting you to fix that, or wanting you to be okay so that I could feel okay. If you're okay, then I can feel okay. Well, allow me the moments to process my own emotions so that I can come back into finding my alignment. So each one of you making a commitment to yourself to process your own emotions, to come back into your own certainty, regardless of what the other person is doing, and then really like looking lovingly at like, what is that pattern? Anytime the pattern just keeps happening, because you don't want to tolerate the pattern. And when I say not tolerate, I don't mean shun the person, resist the person. I don't mean put up boundaries. I mean where the best thing is in the moment that it fires. I'm giving you the exact answer that it really is. The best thing you could ever do for your relationship is in the moment that it fires, somebody has to come up and out and go, oh my God, look at that pattern. And then laugh.
That's kind of what we did. We went to Joshua Tree National Park and we just came back, and we couldn't find reservations, and they told us that if we couldn't sleep there. So, and if we look like we're sleeping, we'll get in trouble. I'm like, oh, it's fine. Let's just park on the side. And we popped out and everything. And I'm like, come on, baby, let's get in bed and romantic the stars and whatever. And then 10 minutes later, of course, the they come up, you know, the cops come up and
Of
pull us
course.
up, and I'm like in my element. I was so like loving being bad and wrong, you know, and
No,
she was just like,
rebel.
yeah, and she was just like, oh, mortified
Of
about
course.
getting in trouble. She
Of
was
course.
so mortified, but she didn't get mad at me. I mean, she was a little bit mad, but not too much.
Yes, but that's a huge step, right, Beth? Like, isn't that a huge step for you from being like where you were, it's still that all reacted, but you didn't go into like total, right?
Yeah.
That's massive, right? Allowing
Right.
people the dignity of their own life journey in that
Right.
regard. But yeah, exactly. Like, so yeah, I totally feel you, Erica. Because Erica, you are Michael.
Yeah,
Like,
I had the best. I was so excited. I was
Yeah.
videotaping it.
that would be
she
Michael.
She was filming me as the cops are interrogating me.
Yeah. Michael is this, like, Michael
They're
be
not
like,
cops. They're park rangers.
I know. Michael will be the same way. He'll be like, he will be the one saying, you know, well, let me tell you why this is really important. Like, we should really be able to do, like, he's going to sell the idea to the park ranger.
Yes, because they had a million reservations with no one there.
You see?
Yeah. And then I'm like, what is wrong with you? Now you're just making it more obvious that we want to stay here. You know?
Exactly. I totally feel you guys. Yeah, it's really just about, this is why right? Everybody can feel this. Opposites attract, right? If you guys were the exact same, you would be bored. It wouldn't be. Now, so how do we have what we're really getting to see and witness and model, and you're doing such an amazing job of it, is like, how do we have this opposite of each other and still create workability? So, right, because ultimately it all has to come back down to higher than us, not down this way, but more like this, where ultimately we all, no matter what, can never let go of loving connection. Loving connection has to be greater than each one of us. So there are times when Michael wants to be the rebel, and I just allow him to be the rebel because it is that is Michael. And I'm not trying to stunt Michael's rebelness in the sense of like him being a full self-expression. It is, when he is in his full self-expression, he does like to defy things, but he's not doing it from pushing against. He's doing it because of inside of like the bigger part of himself likes to call things forward and say, and challenge different things of people saying this for no reason that doesn't make any sense, which is what you're saying, Erica. And at the same time, there are times where I'll be like, when that happens in something where I'm like, has anything to do with like something that is going to directly impact me in the way that I'm like, no, not on this one. I'm going to allow for as many things until I'm not going to allow it on something. But when I say like, no, I really mean it. I never say, no, you can do that on your own time, but this is not happening here. I really mean it. And it's like but I will allow him all these others, right? So why am I saying that? So you guys can feel it, because it's like, you know, it's like children, right? We're not wanting to like say no to every single thing they want to do. We want them to have their full self-expression. And so we're going to pick like what it is that we can, like things like, you know, you'll hear people say, pick your battles, right? You're going to pick the things where you're just like, okay, I'm going to let that one go. I'm going to let that one go, let that go. And then that one, I'm not going, like, I'm not going to go into resistance on it, but I'm not going to let that one go. So it's like, those are the things. And then we're always looking for loving connection and getting the workability, right? Because that has to be there. So does that help you guys?
Yeah. So either she would come to me and check herself when she's asking questions, or I'm going to have to, when I'm feeling she's coming, is going, okay, I'm feeling it's firing right now. I'm feeling unsafe. Give me a minute to get.
Like someone has to come out of the pattern and look down at the programming firing, and then be like, because that's, and you can always feel it because there's resistance, right? Like you're battling. So there's resistance, right? And all resistance is an unwillingness to let go of that which no longer serves us. It's not about the other person. All resistance is an willingness to let go of that which no longer serves us. So like as an example, I'll use Michael because it can be easier to hear it over here. So like when he wants to be bigger like that, or say like do something that is like, to me, like he's just going to push against some rule of some sort, right? You know, if I go like, no, like this is, no, I'm not going to do this. it can feel to him, the reason it would trigger him is it can feel like I'm stunting him from being who he is, okay? Because he has a rule about that. You know, like you can't, somehow I'm causing something. It's not the truth in the sense of, because what's really firing in that moment is in his own resistance, is his own unwillingness to let go of like, and watch this how it mirrors, because he has called this out. So I'm giving you guys something he has said out loud. As an example, like he had a rule, like when we go to this and we're on vacation, we do this, it's like he gets to just be as big as he wants to be. Well, I'm like, okay, but it's not going to be about, it's not going to look like that. He thinks I'm stunting him. So he has a rule. You can't tell me what to do on that because I don't want to be stunted. But then in truth, he's stunting himself. Did you ever see the dichotomy of that? By him thinking it has to be this way and Mia has to go along exactly with me and Mia's got to be just like I am, or somehow I'm stunting him when really he's stunting himself, because Mia doesn't have to do anything that he's doing and he can still be free to be him. Is that making sense to everybody? Because hopefully that is landing as good as I'm wanting you guys to see it. It's like, so it's like he had to see that. But in the beginning, he didn't see it. It was a blind spot to him.
Right.
Like he really thought I'm stunting him. And I'm like, show me how I'm nailing you down, holding you back from being self-expressed. How much do you weigh? Am I on top of you? Like I had to be like, seriously, dude, where are you being held back? This is all emotional. This isn't logical. Like you're firing a pattern right here. And then when I would come up and out and I would say, look lovingly, whose pattern is this? Who does this in your family that you're modeling right now? And then he would be like, oh my God, that's my father. Yeah. So your father, you got that pattern from your father. Yeah. He had like this, his dad would be this grumpy old man, like when he would come home from work. But if he would go out and they would go like a party or something, his dad would be the life of the party. So Michael associated freedom to going out or being a life of the party, doing like, and so nobody can take away that life of the party or they're stunting him. And so does his father. It's the same father's pattern. Is that making sense? But he didn't realize why he even had the rule or why it was even really him. And then when he could see it, he was like, okay, now here's where we create workability, everyone, so everybody can see this. So then he goes, okay, I can see it. So what you can count on me for is I'm going to change my behavior. This is what I'm going to do. I am going to stop making it so serious. So the pattern he had to change is when he wants to let loose and so forth, that making it serious, that if somebody else doesn't feel the exact same way that he does, that he goes into making it serious and having a rule about it. He had to give up his seriousness or his rule about that. And so that's what he does now. So he doesn't go into that pattern. When he feels it like where I'm different in certain situations than he is, he just allows me to be who I am. And he just continues to be who he wants to be. Is that making sense, guys? So we're not forcing each other to be different, but we're calling out the pattern. And he did a change in behavior. So now the pattern doesn't keep firing. Every time we do that kind of situation, that pattern no longer fires.
And the only thing I would ask Erica is that if you go up and out before I do.
No shaming.
Yeah, yes. And then when I go up and out, that just means give me some time to process too. You know, like sometimes when I go up and out, I'm processing and she's still upset with me. Like I'm not quick enough.
Yes. That's where everybody gets to be off the hook. What I mean by that is the other person gets to be off the hook. And you processing your own emotion, they're responsible for processing their own emotion. Here's what used to be different about me, so I can show you my part, because I'm showing you Michael's part. But where my part has shifted is, so like when somebody would do something like that in my family, when they would be like all like big and boisterous and do whatever they want, not listen to any kind of rules, when they would do all that, my mother would be like, you're dead to me, and now you're emotionally dead. So where I've grown and I don't go into that behavior is when somebody would do that, what would fire for me is like, I have to kill you off. You now have to die.
Yep.
Okay.
That was my
right?
family too. Yeah.
Okay. That is the way it always was in my house or with my mother. So what has really shifted, and I used to be that girl who anytime somebody would do that, I would instantly clamp down, not say a word, but I would be brewing. I would be brewing and I would be like, you are dead. You are dead. And so now what is different is emotionally is when he goes into this, I just acknowledge, not even out loud, I'm just acknowledging like, oh, this is him being free for himself. And I'm just allowing that inside of it. But if it goes beyond, like if it goes to something where I feel like it's now becoming about me, rather than being like, I have to kill you off, I just am like, you know what, I've had such a great time. This is not, I'm not doing this to, you know, kill you off or anything. I'm actually going to go do something else. And I will literally just go do something else without killing him off. That is huge for me.
Yeah, that's
right. Everybody's different in their behaviors, but I'm just showing you my part. Because remember, it was the only reason it became a wrestling because of the fact that it would trigger, his trauma would trigger my trauma, and then we'd be in a trauma drama. So this is how both of us handle it differently now. And that is really huge for me because I would never have done that in the past. I would have just been like, no, I'm going to make you pay. I'm going to leave you and make you pay. Now I'm like, I'm just going to go do something else. Have fun with you. Come back later when you want to do something else. I'm really interested in this. You know, I'll see you in a little bit. And it's no big deal.
I like that. It's been very helpful. Thanks, Erica.
Okay, awesome. Really great. Really, thank you for asking, guys.